Welcome to the podcast, where we teach you how to create marketing that pops. Get ready for refreshing conversations with industry experts, trendsetters, and creative minds that'll leave you bubbling with inspiration. Get ready to turn up the volume on your business. Let's get popping. Okay, welcome back to Marketing That Pops. I'm Olivia, and
I'm Michelle.
And today we are joined by Bianca, and we are going to be getting into all the fun things. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here on the podcast. If you'd like to just tell us a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, so I am a mom of one son. I say that first because that's job number one. Although all of my many other businesses seem to feel like they're a higher priority, I try to keep what that true priority is in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a mom. I have a social media following on known as High Society Mama. That's my handle. And I work to encourage moms to be confident in their choice to consume cannabis. And I also have a hemp farm based out of Southwest Michigan. That is my brand, Society's Plant. Societiesplant.com is a direct-to-consumer. We have 100-ish SKUs.
Mm-hmm.
So a wide range of products that can be shipped to your door. I also have a event space in Chicago called The Node. And that is a sort of wellness-focused community space that is non-alcohol bar and gathering spot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And I have multiple cannabis-friendly Airbnbs in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
You are quite the entrepreneur. You have multiple things going on there.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a thing.
It's a problem, yeah.
It's a problem. What's that?
So I was telling you this before, but every episode we like to start off with just a little funness with our debunked myths. So this episode is no different. So we have something special for you. The myth is cannabis use and parenting don't mix. What are your thoughts on that?
So there has been a very long-standing stigma around cannabis. And I believe the biggest challenge of normalizing cannabis, and I say this quote over and over again, so I will just say it verbatim to start.
Mm-hmm.
That when we normalize plant medicine for parents, that's when it'll be normalized for all of society. So I see parents as the last domino to fall. So we have the biggest challenge in front of us because parents, and even more so moms, are held to a higher standard because we are raising the next generation. And so when we have something that's being questioned, that's been thought of as being something that's bad, then we want to keep it as far away from our kids as possible. So if parents are using it, then they're setting the example. But what we also now know is that cannabis is not bad. What's been bad about it is the illegal aspect in terms of people being put in jail over very minor cannabis possession charges, selling it, which now we have some legal methods to sell it through. But there's still laws in certain states that people get locked away for it. And it's been weaponized against parents, used to make them look bad in court, in custody battles, it's just been used as a weapon because it's been really easy. It's an easy topic to leverage.
Yeah.
So I think where we've really gone wrong, gone awry from the direction we should be going in, is that what we see front and center about cannabis has really been focused a lot on getting high.
Yeah.
That's what the conversation has been around. And the depth of what cannabis can be used for goes so far beyond getting high. And it can be used for sleep. And actually, THC is not the best cannabinoid for sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's CBN, which does not even get you high, but it does help, that does not disrupt your REM sleep like THC. So there's these different opportunities to utilize it. There's CBD-A, which is something that we really focus on, which is the raw form of CBD. It covers your COX-2 pain receptors, so it can be used in place of painkillers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not addictive, and it covers your pain receptors and doesn't damage your liver like if you're taking massive amounts of ibuprofen. And so there's all these different uses that we don't even think of when we think of parenting, and cannabis can't go together, because all we go towards is THC. And in people's minds, there's this stoner stereotype. And when parents are using cannabis, they're not using it the same way that teenagers or college students in the 90s were using it in their dorm rooms, smoking bongs, and then getting dropping out of, like whatever the extreme is. That's not the same picture that parents are. That's not what's actually happening. That's just like what's in our minds. And that's what's made really good, television
right.
and funny movies. And so that's just gets stuck in people's heads. And that is the stigma that we have to break. So
yeah. One of the questions that I was going to ask you a little bit later, but since you kind of touched on it, I'll ask it now. I know that there's a lot of stigma around, or like, I guess not even stigma, questioning about, THC and like that getting you high. I know a lot of your products have like the THC-A. So could you talk a little bit about like what that difference is? And like, yeah.
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about CBD-A, and most people have heard of CBD. So THC and CBD are the final process that happens when a plant gets older, it matures, or the actual chemical process of it is it gets heated. So when you heat the plant, you start out with a raw plant with either CBD-A, a lot of it, or THC-A. And then when you heat it, it turns into THC and CBD. THC is the one that gets you high. THC-A doesn't actually get you high because it hasn't been converted yet. So there are studies and whatnot, a little bit, not a lot of studies about it, on the benefits of THC-A, but no one's using it that way. So let's just be based in reality. THC-A is what THC starts out as. So when you grow a plant and high in THC-A, then when you smoke it, turns into THC. So the way the Farm Bill is laid out, which is what was legalized in 2016, 2018 was the big shift in the bill. Then they said that hemp is legal. So when you grow THC-A, it is it's a legal plant. And so now all of a sudden we've just had this turn of events where some people are sort of jokingly saying, we haphazardly, oops, we legalized nationwide and we just didn't know it. It's a loophole. So how long it'll last or to what extent, we really don't know. But as of right now, you can buy THC-A flower, and when you smoke it, it will get you high.
Yeah.
So that is what THC-A is.
I did want to ask about that because I was like, loophole, okay. Because, being able to sell online,
It's huge.
That's big.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what's happening in the industry is it is a little bit frightening because there's a lot of regulation in place for medical and adult use cannabis, marijuana, and that is regulated through dispensaries and through the government by state. And all of a sudden we're witnessing this Wild West that we don't quite know how to manage yet. So there are always a host of bad actors, and it's not that THC product being sold online is not going through the same stringent testing that is what happens in a dispensary. Even in dispensaries in the medical market, there's people who get things through. So, there's bad actors everywhere. So my best advice on that is to make sure that you trust who your sources are, that they're
Absolutely.
that they're people who really have integrity and grow their plants the way they say they do. And I mean, if we want to get a little bit out there in terms of if you want to call it woo-woo, but I mean, there's been studies on, so this is like the Japanese scientist study on water. And if you give a glass of water, positive thoughts and positive words of affirmation, and it freezes and it's really beautiful. And then you talk badly to a glass of water and it freezes, and they're different structures. And that's been proven by science. So the energy we put into our plants when we're growing them, this is definitely out there. You would need to be
concerned. I mean, I feel like that. I believe that to be true because, even when you're a kid and you go through elementary and you do those kind of science experiments where you play music to certain plants and you watch the different growth patterns and things like that. So I do believe that though there's definitely power in words.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think about it that way, the people who are growing your plants, it's not just the pesticides they're using or not using or the chemicals or that stuff like that. There's energy in it. And so, we put a lot of pride in that we're a small family run farm, and, our plants are growing in wine, grape country, blueberry area of this microcosm of Southwest Michigan that is just this really special little biodynamic area because of where we are with the system with Lake Michigan. And so, I mean, we really do have this, unique micro biome section of the country.
Absolutely. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about your growth, and because we love marketing. I want to talk about just how you've been able to cultivate this audience and just this following. When you were building this community online, what are kind of some of the things that have helped you with this growth? And I feel like I could probably pick out a few, but I'd love to hear from you.
Okay. Well, I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Colorado in marketing. I went to DePaul University for my MBA in marketing, and I had a career in wine and spirits sales management. So I've always worked in regulated goods. So I have a good understanding of working between very strong guardrails in terms of what we're allowed to do. We were going for a medical license to grow in Michigan in 2018. And I was trying to learn to be able to leave wine and spirits and start marketing cannabis for my husband. And I wasn't a big consumer. I was what I say, balls deep in motherhood, because I had a 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old. You're in the depths. You're in the trenches.
Yeah.
And
the hard part.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you live and breathe motherhood. And so I started an Instagram page called Magic of Cannabis, and I was featuring all these different other people's work that were growers and just highlighting the beauty of the plant. And I was growing that page, and I was like, you know what? I see that there's this subsegment of women, like women brands and women showing up on, this was mainly on Instagram. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I need my own female centric page in case I want to start a female brand.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, if I'm going to start a page, I can't just not post anything. I need to talk about something. So I was like, what do I know? What is my thing? And I was like, I like fitness. I work in wine and spirits. I'm definitely not talking about that. And I was like, and motherhood. I was like, I like to travel. I'm a mom. I was like, what are the things that people across the country can relate to? And I was like, travel doesn't really have anything to do with cannabis, but the experience of motherhood does. So that's what I started posting about. And it was just at the right time to really start garnering a following. And I was talking about it a little bit in a different way that other people hadn't. And it was about the real emotions that moms feel and the struggle and the challenges. And I wasn't a big cannabis consumer. So I kind of had that, like, I'm on the outside, I'm interested in getting in, I'm on the inside because my husband's been growing since 2012, but I'm not a big consumer. How can I talk about this and the times that I use it? And for a long time, I was trying to be something that I wasn't, because I'm not a wake up in the morning and smoke from my bong. I wanted to be that because that's what I thought other people were doing. But as I've grown my following, I've become much more confident in who I am and who I represent. And I don't think that, and so in the beginning, I had a lot of followers that were cannabis consumers. They were consumers, they were moms, they were going to dispensaries in California. Everyone thought I lived in California. I'm in the Midwest. I was in Chicago at the time. I didn't show my face on camera. I was just making funny memes with cute quotes like, I like to party. And by party, I mean, smoke some weed and take a nap. Like, it was like these were the relatable things. Like, I didn't smoke all the time. I would smoke weed and then I'd be like, oh, finally I can take a nap. Like, husband, you watched the kid, but enough to take my mind off of it. And so I would say that's like sort of my own interesting evolution. I got on the Reels kick really early because I did the TikTok during COVID beginning. I started making videos and I was like, this is a little weird. And then I was like, okay, actually, I can kind of do this. And so then when Reels came along on Instagram, I was like, okay, here's all of my, funny Reels. And I was already restricted on TikTok, so it was easy to continue that on Instagram. But I mean, there's a lot of challenges in the cannabis space on social media, and it's been a lot of a learning curve. And so my one thing that's sort of interesting is I had changed over my Magic of Cannabis page to be Society's Plant. I changed it over at about 12,000 followers, and then I grew it to 22,000 followers. This past November, it got taken down, not recovered. So it was going into Black Friday, and I was like, how can I not have a brand page on social media for Black Friday? I'm like, what am I doing? And I was like, okay, I have to do something. So I was like, I'm just starting a new page. I'm not going to keep going down the rabbit hole of trying to recover this account. So I was like, I'm starting a new page. So I started a new page that's Society's Plant for Moms. And it was just this year that I decided to go really make the shift in my brand, because Society's Plant, I always had it be very like brand sex neutral, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't really know who I'm appealing to. I just was everything to everyone. And this year I was like, you know what? I'm fine with it. Doesn't have to be pink. It doesn't have to say mom. It doesn't have to do any of those things. I can still stay exactly who my brand is, but I'm refining who I'm targeting. And I am speaking to moms. I'm speaking to them directly. And I always have been. It was just, I felt like I had to have this other facade.
Isn't that interesting when you start to like really tap into, yourself and like the authenticity of it, and like then it starts flowing. You're like, okay, like I'm being me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's working.
Yeah. And as this happened, when I was like, okay, my brand is talking to moms. So then I was like, you know what? I don't care as much about keeping this my high society mama facade, and I'm like, I want to figure out how to reach a broader audience. And my high society mama page has so many followers that have been using cannabis for a long time. Some people find me and they're like, oh my gosh, this has done so much for me. And that's what I'm really here for. That's what that's what my mission is. But I am not finding as many just moms finding me and finding that to be a safe space. And so I've had to switch up how my presence is online. And I decided to spend more time on LinkedIn working on being an authority for moms on LinkedIn. And that was a big shift for me because in my mind, motherhood does not have a place on LinkedIn.
Right.
As mom's place is at the house. It's in our home. It's private. We keep motherhood and work as separate as possible because we want to show that we are worthy of showing up to work. Motherhood does not make me less than. Motherhood does not hold me back from being a VP or a sales manager or whatever it is. Like, no, I'm not showing you any of my motherhood flaws or struggles because you will think that I can't do this job.
Right.
Like, that's been the struggle.
No, you're right.
For women for so long. And we've been putting up this front that we're so tough. And just recently there's like the breastfeeding act, things like that have shifted that to force employers to have to prioritize mom's needs. But previous to that, we just had to go in the bathroom and tough it out, pump in the bathroom when we're peeing. And so it was just,
yeah. I was just going to say, there's so many issues that you probably can connect with moms that are career professionals because they are getting pulled in 10 different directions, and no matter what they do, feel guilty. Like your kid's sick at home. Oh my gosh, I gotta call in and let them know. So then you feel guilty about that, but then you go to work, you feel guilty. You left your child
left your sick kid at home with a babysitter because you had to show up to the meeting.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's kind of almost like two segments of like audiences, right? It's the stay-at-home moms, and then it's the career-oriented moms. And the biggest thing that you've talked about, which is like the number one thing in marketing, is know your audience. Like, know who you're talking to, and if you have a passion for it and if you love it, it's going to come through, right? And it's, if you're just trying to do this thing over here, well, I don't know, maybe I could do this thing, and you try it, it's like that's the whole entrepreneur thing is like do what you love, because if you don't love it, you're not going to make it work. You're not going to be working 20 hours a day and, like really like driving.
Mhm.
You're going to give up. And it's also about connecting with, your audience and knowing what their struggles are. And as a mom, it's quite obvious, like, and you're a career woman too. So it's like, that's awesome.
Yes. And so even thinking about it as two audiences,
Mhm.
stay-at-home mom and the working mom, at the end of the day, we are carrying so much weight on our shoulders,
Mhm.
and we deserve to have something to help us just unwind and like let our brains relax a little bit.
Mhm.
Hence the wine o'clock popularity for moms.
Yeah.
Right.
Is like dad gets home, mom gets off duty, and now mom gets to do something for her. And
Mhm.
so even though they're two different types of moms, they are going through the same struggles. They have their
Mhm.
mental mom command center that's running 24/7. And so, I mean, if we want to talk about marketing, one really fun thing that I did that made me stand out is I have a product that is a 50 milligram CBD full spectrum gummy.
Mhm.
On the internet, there are hundreds of thousands of CBD
Sure.
gummies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There is nothing special about CBD gummies. The only thing that's special about them is whether they're an isolate, broad spectrum, or full spectrum. And that tells you how much of the whole plant is still intact.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's like when you're when you're eating a vegetable, you want the whole vegetable. You don't just want one vitamin from the vegetable.
Right.
So full spectrum means that you have the whole plant. So it's better. It works better. It actually just really works. So full spectrum is the one thing that makes it stand out. So when you up the dose of CBD, which now we know CBD to be effective has to be a certain dose. 5 milligrams of CBD is not doing anything. But so ours is 50 milligrams. It's a good dose of CBD. When you have that much CBD and you have the whole plant, it has naturally some THC. So I say it's a microdose of THC, but it is 1.5 milligrams.
Mhm.
For some people, that's enough to really help them just feel good. You use THC all the time, that's not going to probably do anything for you. But if you don't use THC all the time, that 1.5 milligrams of THC with 50 milligrams of CBD is going to help your brain relax. So I love passion fruit. So I'm like, I'm going to do this one as passion fruit flavored. Then I'm like, what should I call this gummy? And I had done some reels that were really successful about smoking CBD before having sex.
Mm.
And the reason to do that is not that it makes you hornier. It's not that it makes you have better orgasms. It's that it gets your brain to actually stop going through your mental to-do list so that you can actually focus on enjoying the process of trying to have an orgasm. If you're thinking about taking out the trash and what you forgot at the grocery store that you have to go back for, and the school project that's due tomorrow that you forgot to get
Yeah.
done, so you have to pull it together in the morning, you can't have an orgasm while you're doing that. So point of the matter is of my marketing genius work was that I named it the Passion Segs Gummy. SEGS. So if you've ever seen on Instagram or TikTok, I talk about sex, they write segs because it doesn't get you flat.
Right.
So now when someone watches someone else's video about segs and they Google segs or they want a sex gummy, Passion Society's Plant Passion Gummies come up way high. And I acquire new customers that way all the time. So that was
That's
just
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
a way to leverage that marketing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm using other people's social media to get me traffic.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good way to think about it. Like just going back and I mean, this is what we talk about all the time is like repurposing content, like looking back to see like what was actually working. But I mean, you were able to like turn this into a product. So
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
And I mean,
awesome.
I post, there's one that I post every Valentine's Day for the past 5 years. And every single time it hits.
Mm-hmm.
Over and
Yeah.
over again. And it's about using CBD before sex.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, what's in your CBD gummies? Or what's in your passion gummies? They work so well. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to try to lie to you and tell you it's something special. It's literally just CBD. But when you're using it in a way that it
Mm-hmm.
works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And my brain just like will not shut up. That's why I have a hard time sleeping because I can't turn it off. I'm like
Mm.
so anxious and like worried about the next thing. Did I remember this? Did I remember that? Ah. You should do
Yeah.
one on, or maybe I should do one on, women business owners and all their issues that we have.
I mean, so my business women owners entrepreneur hack is our CBD-A soft gels. So we have these soft gels that are from our farm.
Mm-hmm.
They're really easy to take. These are the ones that I said are great that cover up your pain receptors. But what they also do is they're like nature's Xanax, nature's Tylenol, nature's Xanax. Like they work so many wonders, and they've actually been shown to shrink breast cancer tumors.
Mm.
Wow.
So I mean, but I used to wake up with panic attack anxiety in the morning, like
Mm-hmm.
no alarm going off, 7 a.m. My eyes jolt open, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? What am I missing? You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's a terrible way to wake up. I don't
Yeah.
Right.
waking up like that.
I
Like,
understand.
you should start your day.
I understand. Or I
Yeah.
overstand. Let's
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Over-understand.
go buy that right now. Like,
And so I started taking them at night. And I started with 2, and I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of working." And
Mhm.
now I take 4 every night, along with magnesium glycinate.
Mm-hmm.
Not the calm, not the citrate that makes you poop. Magnesium glycinate. It's like a hormone balancer. I call it
Told Michelle she
nature's
needs
sweet.
magnesium.
I did get some magnesium, but I'm wondering, did I get the right kind? I don't know.
Oh,
I'll have
Magnesium
to look at it.
glycinate, it hits you like a ton of bricks too. It's like you take 500 milligrams at bedtime, and there's like this sweet spot of like 45 minutes after you take it, and it's like just
Oh,
like
I need that.
so. But with the soft gels, then it's like you have this combo effect, and my anxiety in the morning, I can take
Mhm.
on the stress of running multiple businesses and trying to do all the social media and trying to be a mom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's all a lot. And so it's trying to arm people with the tools. And I'm like, I keep being like, oh, I need to make a magnesium glycinate. I talk this product up. So
Right. Yeah.
sell it as a combo deal.
I know
but
you're selling
I'm
us right
banned
now.
from new products right now. I'm banned. I am mega banned because I have one new product in the pipeline, and it's going to take a lot of my
Mhm.
energy. So I'm not allowed to do any side quests.
Oh,
Well,
awesome.
speaking of that, like tell us like what you are most excited about kind of just in this industry and like just within your business, any new campaigns that maybe you might be wanting to try out.
So I am currently working on a freebie guide that is just a tutorial on dumbing down. I have a lot of products. I cover all the bases: tinctures, vapes, flour, lots of gummies. And each of the gummies do different things, which I should tell you about one more of my gummies. That's a fun one. I have 2 fun favorites, but and I am trying to refine that guide,
Mhm.
because that's like the key piece I've been missing is like, how are we getting people from being newbies to feeling safe enough
Mhm.
to know how to utilize all these products? Because they're wonderful. They're like natural. They are, going to enhance, your way of life. They're not
Mhm.
give you a hangover. They're not going to get you so high you can't parent.
Right.
But people need that reassurance. So I've sort of been working on a high meter,
Mhm.
so that there is like that reassurance of like, these are the steps of someone. And the challenging part of that is everyone's body is different.
Mhm.
But the way that I believe we have to approach the cannabis industry in order to reach a larger audience is just think of everyone as a newbie.
Mhm. That's what I
That-
try to tell our dispensaries.
And
Yeah.
dispensaries are not equipped to introduce people to cannabis. They're just
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
They are not the stepping stone that people need. People need brands like me who are willing to do the hand holding and willing to sell the super low dose, so that
Mhm.
people try something and they want to feel different,
Mhm.
but they don't want to feel out of control.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's a really slippery slope in a dispensary, because
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
do not feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I know. I know
Right.
what Olivia's talking about too, because some of the dispensaries, they just think their audience is just getting super high and,
All day, every day. And that's how
yeah,
they
and
increase sales. The way
yeah,
they increase sales is the more THC they sell, the more money they make.
Mhm. Mhm.
mhm,
But we have this whole audience that is not even touching CBD because they are scared to death of getting too high.
Mhm.
And it takes one time of
Yep.
getting too high for them to be like, I am never
Mhm.
touching any of those products again. And they tell all their friends. They are the best. Like, anyone who knows that person is never going to try cannabis because their friend had this terrible experience. They've heard the story 20 times. In fact,
Mhm.
they recite the story to their friends, and they're just a friend of the friend.
right, yeah,
Like, it spreads that fast.
No, I know.
How do we make it so that people have a great first experience?
yeah.
Like having a passenger,
Education, yeah, like
at the end of the day.
understanding it,
But
right,
I promise no one is going to feel too high from that.
yeah,
It's just
right.
not. So,
Uh,
so that's one thing that's like really, I'm like getting close on.
Mhm.
And so then working on all of my funnels for that, and bringing people into the business, but in a really like hand-holding way. So, um, as you guys know, I mean, it's a lot of work building those
Absolutely.
funnels and all the
Mhm.
processes and the emails and the follow-ups and the landing pages and so that is my biggest hurdle right now. The thing I'm most excited about is I think the prospects of um, the hemp beverages and
Mm.
like the low dose
Mhm.
mhm,
scene that is really exploding right now. And I think there is a lot of potential there, and there's a lot of access to people through liquor stores that we
Mhm.
hadn't considered previously.
Mhm.
We're always looking
right,
at it, and I thought I would die on the hill that cannabis beverages, THC beverages will never work, because people walk into the dispensary once a month and
Mhm.
they're going to buy a 20 milligram can. And then you're like, okay, so I have this can. I don't want to
Mhm.
get too high. So what? I'm going to have like a little shot. Who drinks a little shot? Like what?
Right.
No, it's gonna lose its carbonation. It just makes sense. And so then for the price you're paying for that can, whatever it was, like $15 a can or $40 a bottle. Just economically, it didn't make sense. People buy a 6-pack of beer for $8.99. They get to drink 6 beers that night, or they get to drink 3 beers and split 3 beers with their buddy that comes over, and they can hang out and watch TV or chat in the backyard. It's a social experience. You have to be able to have multiple of them. And so this is the first point in time that we have enough cannabis beverages that it's starting to be the cost is coming down. We're seeing it sold in liquor stores. And so that's an exciting concept. People walk into liquor stores to buy a bottle of wine for the party they're going to.
Right.
Ooh, maybe I will pick up, a 4-pack of these and have one while I'm there.
Right. Yeah. I think it is
those.
getting really popular because I've been in some grocery stores where you can totally see it. I'm like, wow, they're really like, it's not a dispensary anymore that you have to go to get that.
Right. And so, and you can walk in with your kid. You can walk into a liquor store with your kid.
Look at you tying that back in. I love it.
And it's super.
Those moms.
It's not super obvious too, because some people just don't want that whole stereotype, like, oh, I saw so-and-so walking into the dispensary, like I can just see it now. Like,
yep.
We're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, we have a lot of stigmas to overcome. And so until, a newbie mom who's never used cannabis before feels comfortable because there's no stigma left walking into a dispensary, that lives on.
Right. Yeah.
So, but
awesome.
it's not holding me back from talking about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it's really awesome that you've been able to, do so many different things, and it's awesome, exciting. I'm really proud of you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'd love to chat even offline just more.
Yeah. No, I love that you guys we are actually kind of neighbors.
Yeah. Right.
Olivia, are you in Grand Rapids too, or Muskegon?
Muskegon, yeah.
Yeah.
But Olivia's always over that way. She likes to go there.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I just want
in Benton Harbor, St. Joe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So down, it's like lower Michigan.
Yeah, we're like an hour away.
Yeah. So nice.
Yeah. And so tell me about what your marketing platform does.
We're full service digital marketing agency. And so typically when we work with clients, it's most generally on a annual retainer agreement. And a lot of times we work with marketing directors that just can't do it all. Like, they have all these really great ideas, but there's just only so many hours in the day. And so we'll work with the marketing director and really understand the strategy and the plan. And then we just implement things for them. And really that's what it's about. And we're really good we're a HubSpot partner. So from the time somebody lands on the website to they buy a product, we can tell them ROI on that. And so that, as a business owner, it's like, I'm spending money, but am I making money? And you always feel so much better when you're like, okay, well, that was worth it. We could do that again. And it's just nice to evaluate what campaigns are doing good and what are not doing good. Okay, let's stop doing the ones that aren't good. And really, we're just that support team for, marketing individuals that just they can't do it by themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we have a lot of
I
free
look forward to
resources
talking more.
too. And then of course we've been doing the podcast for a year. And so we've learned a lot from doing the podcast. And so this year we're really ramping things up and gonna really start like providing more tactical how-tos for the podcast so that people are really just learning and are like, ooh, I'm gonna try that, or okay, I didn't know that you could do that. I'm gonna try that. That was cool on this podcast. So that's really, my passion is just helping companies grow and being super creative. And we just keep like elevating, our clients and pushing, the boundaries. And so we just love brainstorming. So,
Oh, I
but
love
that's why this was so fun talking to you. I'm like, ooh.
it. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, especially, I mean, I did not come from digital marketing world. Alcohol was very much a in-person, on-premise, off-premise tactic. And
Yeah.
it's been a big shift for me having a direct consumer brand, but a brand that can't follow all the rules. The rules, the playbooks don't apply.
Right.
Yeah.
Same way.
Do you do a lot of email marketing?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a way, around you can't get shut down, from doing that. And it's, your current audience base, so it's just like reminding them to come back or even, abandoned cart type of stuff, that type of thing. So, and marketing automation, like you said, like you're really like trying to like do more of that and just to take it off your plate. That's super helpful.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was awesome. Thanks for, agreeing to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
And we think you're great. And
tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah.
Yes. So my brand is Society's Plant, Society, SOCIETY '(plant.com. There's no apostrophe in there, but societysPlant.com. And High Society Mama is my handle, MAMA for Mama. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So everybody go check her out and go shop, because now we all want to go and figure out how we can sleep better and all these different things that we can do for our moods.
I know. Maybe my employees won't like hide from me when I.
I can tell you really quick my gummy selection.
Right.
So we have the Good Day gummy, which has CBG for focus. It only has 1 milligram of THC. The Good Night gummy has CBD and CBN with 1 milligram of THC. Our High Energy Microdose gummy has 5 milligrams of THC, 5 milligrams of THCV, which I will tell you about in a second, but it's a appetite suppressant, gives you energy.
That's what I want.
And it also is anti-anxiety. So the High Energy Microdose has 5 milligrams of THC, 5 milligrams of THCV, and 20 milligrams of CBG. So it's a good high energy fun. It's like what I use is like the fun. You want to get high, but you want to have fun and you don't want to pass out. So that's like my go-to party gummy. But my everyday gummy is just straight 10 milligrams of THCV, where Michelle said, oh, I want that. That's our 10 milligrams of THCV gummy. And that one, again, it gives you energy. It's appetite suppressant and anti-anxiety. So I had to come up with a name for it. It had to encompass like what are all those things? What are all those things? they're a fucking miracle. What gummy has all of that stuff? That's
Right.
miracle gummy.
Awesome. I love it.
I'm the boss. I get to say if I get to swear if I want to.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
No one's making my rules.
Yeah. When you were like, like what? That just like reminded me of us in our conference room going, like what's a better headline?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let's get real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Miracle. Like what? Why would you not want to have energy, appetite suppressant, anti-anxiety? Because it's like, coffee gives you energy, but it increases.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Right.
Very true.
those things too. So like, or give you the jitters, and so it's just like, it's not going to have you bouncing off the walls, but that combination of a natural that can do all those things, it's a fucking miracle.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thanks so much for being on our podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys know where to find her, and we will check you on the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening with us today. Stay tuned for the latest in web marketing and design from ThrivePop. Want to be a pop star? Head over to thrivepop.com/podcast to join our mailing list for episode notifications, sneak peeks, listener feedback, and more.